Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to everybody on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It is the Reach Podcast Show. We're getting ready to get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. This is the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis. This is the show where every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. And as you can see, you have the flyer up on the screen. You can see who our guest is. And you guys are in for a real treat this morning. So we want to bring you guys into the shot and into the screen and say hello to everybody. Let's talk to the people. Dex, go ahead and say good morning.
Good morning. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my man, DEXTER POWELL. We met, has it been a week or two? Shouts out to Brown Sugar Cafe and Books, where we met. We had the block party out there in Katy. It was an amazing time. And we met and we connected. We talked about what we wanted to do. And that's the thing that I love. We're doing exactly what we said we was going to do. So that's the biggest thing for me. And that is linking up, getting together, and getting this message out. So you definitely want to stay tuned. If you have anybody that you want to see this show, this is geared to our young kings. I'll say that. And the format today is going to be a little bit different. So if you're somebody who follows the show and you know how I really rock and the way I do things every week, we're going to switch that up a little bit because I want to get into what this young man journey has been about, this book that he wrote called Young King, Take Your Stand. What's up, Dalen? That's my oldest son tuned in right now. I appreciate you tuning in. You want to pay attention to this story too, Dalen, because, it speaks to a lot about simple mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And, it could change the course of your life drastically. So without further ado, again, my name is LeVar Ellis. This is DEXTER POWELL, the author of Young King, Take Your Stand. Thank you. And we are at DiamondFit Nutrition. Yeah. As you can see, we got our drinks this morning. So here's another thing. We are doing a toy giveaway this morning over here at DiamondFit Nutrition, 2681 Highway 6 South. We are in the Christmas spirit, being festive. So if you can pull up anytime between now and the end of the show, I'm also raffling off a bike to a young individual. So if you can get over here, you get a bike, and we also are giving away plenty of toys. And we're also going to give a certificate for a family. So if you know of anybody that's needy, hit up DiamondFit Nutrition, hit up the Reach Podcast Show, do something, because we're going to give this certificate, which gives you the opportunity to go over to George R. Brown. The ticket is for 10 people to get them a good, nice meal. So we want just everybody to take advantage of the opportunities that we're providing and the things that we're doing, because it's all about community, man. We don't want anybody to go without and anybody to feel left out, which is another big part of this show. People's feelings are important, and we want to make sure that we give back as much as we possibly can, man. So y'all stay tuned. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. Appreciate y'all tuning in. And go ahead and share this story, man. Subscribe, like the button. As they say, smash that follow and subscribe button on YouTube. Go and follow the Reach Podcast Show. And another thing, and I'll have to say this, I'll just say it live, that we might have to switch things up this evening with the other show, and I'll explain more to that. But we'll catch Dex. He's going to be with us all day. I have another show called the Mind Matters Podcast Show, 6:30 to 8 p.m., and we talk everything mental health and wellness. So if you missed this show, get with us this evening or catch us on YouTube. You can catch the playbacks. But before we get into the show and talk about the things that we need to talk about, I definitely have to pay tribute and homage to just a few of the businesses out there today. And I'm going to just do this in regards to ones that kind of attribute to, I guess I would say, this show. The first place being about family and hosting and having a place to come and go and be with your family or your friends. And that's none other than Honey Beyond Studios. Big shouts out to my family. They are the owners, cousin Cherie and cousin Sharon. I appreciate everything that y'all do over there. And they are doing some awesome things. If you missed the Christmas little celebration they had the Grinch out there taking pictures and stuff like that. So you want to go and follow them and get connected with Honey Beyond Studios. This is a place where you can have your weddings, you can have your gatherings, you can have a party, do whatever you want to do. The information is there on the screen. You can catch them at 1616 667 Cartwright Road in Missouri City, Texas. You see the logo, and you can also go on the internet and find them at honeybeyondstudio.com. So go and follow and get your information that you need and get online and book with Honey Beyond Studios for any events that you have coming up. You definitely want to connect with them. Secondly, I'd like to give a huge shout out to another company that I've been rocking with for so long, and that is the Black Store. And those guys are on a mission to help the youth and the community in general. So I definitely want to give a huge shout out to them, and I appreciate everything that those guys are doing over there. I'm gonna give you a quick, brief commercial from them.
If you haven't been to the Black Store Beauty Supply Experience, this is a personal invitation to come experience the best customer service at a beauty supply store. Bringing you all the beauty brands that you know and love, but most importantly, we support more than 70 local Black-owned brands in the state of Texas and Louisiana. Like having access to a Black-owned pop-up shop 7 days a week. For the ladies who love to pamper themselves, please come experience our nail salon and spa. For the fellas, y'all can look forward to a barbershop coming soon. We'll have our own personal man cave back here. And for those who have a thing for agriculture, we definitely want you to come visit our backyard where you can find our community garden. Thanks for tuning in to the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis. Y'all enjoy this great content.
Yeah. That's the Black Store over in Sunnyside, Houston, Texas. Go and check them out at 8616 Cullen Boulevard. You'll be amazed, and that's at this point that is an old video that we shot first when we got connected. They've grown; they're doing so many different things now. So you definitely want to get connected with them and go and check out that beauty shop experience, a beauty supply experience. And stay connected with them guys as well. So they're doing some amazing things in the community. And lastly, I definitely want to talk about it already. We want to give a huge shout out to DiamondFit Nutrition. Again, we're right here at Highway 6 South, which is 2681 Highway 6 South. Let me get their information and put that up as well. You want to get connected with them. Again, if you have youth, now is the time to get over here. Get over here as quickly as you can. We have not started the toy giveaway, but we will be starting that up here in just a moment. We're giving away a lot of toys. We're also going to have a bike giveaway, and we're also providing tickets for families to get fed for the holiday season. So definitely come get connected. Smoothie and tea shop, healthy ingredients and everything. So come and get satisfied all the way around today. Come and get connected with us. And in any of these places that you go to, make sure you let them know the Reach Podcast Show sent you. So we will take that down as well, man. And, it's amazing, how God moves, man. That's the first thing I want to say. So to everybody, I want to just say thank you guys for tuning in. It's been an amazing year. It's been some great things and great connections that's been going on. And I'm appreciative for everybody that's been following the show, tuning into the show, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We really appreciate it. And we're getting set and geared up for some amazing things moving forward into the new year. And so if you're just tuning in, also want to highlight, started up a second podcast. And I want you guys to follow that show every Thursday. We got the Reach Podcast Show in the morning, and every Thursday evening, we have the Mind Matters Podcast Show, where we talk everything mental health and wellness. And that's the logo that you see up on the screen. And the information is now up on the screen where you can go and follow us and catch us from week to week. We're streaming weekly on Thursdays, 6:30 p.m. live on Facebook, Instagram, and IGTV at the Mind Matters Podcast. So get connected with us, because we all know that mental health and wellness is a huge topic in our society today. So we definitely want you guys to stay connected with us on each level where we're coming in the Reach Podcast Show. If you haven't watched it, it's your first time watching it. It's about reaching out to the community and getting those stories out that need to be told, because everybody has a story. So again, if you're somebody who has a story, you feel like you want it to be heard, or you're not even sure, man, connect with me. We'll set something up and we'll make sure we get your story told. So big shouts out again, DiamondFit Nutrition. We appreciate y'all for everything that y'all doing. So Dex, man, I tried to run through that because, man, listen, let me tell you guys, when I met this individual a week and a half ago, just the aura that he walked in the room with, I guess I would say walked in the atmosphere with, because he was outside, it's just radiating off of you, man. And after reading the book, I had a whole idea of how I was gonna do this show, you know, beforehand, because I told you, you know, I don't do the pre-questions, and you're not gonna worry about all that. So I was glad I was able to. I always like to get information, but in a raw form. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so, guys, when I tell you, when I read this book, Young King, from the very first beginning, it just makes you want to read more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell y'all like this. We're gonna go through the book a little bit. We're gonna talk about his journey, get to know him, but we're not gonna give it away. You know, we want you to read the book, because I've always been told, if you want to hide something from somebody, put it in the book, right? But we're not trying to hide it. We're trying to encourage you to, one, read. You know, literacy and all of that is important, but also understand and get the concepts of what he's trying to share with his message, man. So that's my take on the book. Do you have anything you like to say in regards to the book and what your purpose was?
I mean, the book in itself is bigger right now, really, than anything that I could have imagined. Because for so long, I really didn't think that I had value or purpose. You know what I'm saying? Just as a man.
Yeah.
I mean, struggling, and it really was in 2020 when I wrote the book that I began to find like my purpose, and it took me all the way back to being 12 years old, being a hurt child, being bullied, being broken early, and being a very fragile person, always looking for approval of my friends, of people around me. And when I did not have that, then I rebelled against every system. And so I would have never believed that something that happened, you know, to me as a child would be the seed that was going to birth, you know what I'm saying, my journey to greatness in the future.
Okay. And so I have to be careful, because in reading the book, you know, my first question is, you know, I don't have any, excuse me, let me turn this off. I don't have any set format or questions that I'm asked, right? But I try to go with a flow, which is always get to know the guest, give a little background, what led them to the point of what they're doing, why what they're doing is important to them first, and what it means to the community, and then we just talk about it, right? But I already know you know what I'm saying, because I've read the book. So my first question would be, and you know, I'll allow you still, of course, to talk about who is Dexter. You know, who is Dexter A. Young Powell? And then after reading the book, is there a point before 12 where you felt anything other than, you know, bullied and all those other things? Was there any confidence level that you can think back that you had at that point?
No, not confidence level. Me as a person. So just to give you some background, I grew up born into a military. My dad was in the Air Force, and so always we moved a lot, and so I never really had a foundation of like friends or anything like that.
Right.
It was often moving, and in that I could go all the way back to early on that I was always into something as a kid, always doing something, you know, getting in trouble, doing things,
being rebellious,
people would say, and it was early on at 7 years old, really, that I began to discover an addiction to food, a love for food. That it was just like, okay, like if my parents were arguing, if I was in trouble, if so, I was sneaking food. I was, and I felt satisfaction, you know, with that.
Yeah.
And I began getting bigger, and my parents got divorced when I was around like 10.
Yeah.
And at that point, when they went their separate ways, and we moved from Michigan at the time to California, I was in a place where, like, all right, I'm the man of the house. Like this is my house now.
Yeah.
This is my mom, my little brother. Like, I got this. And although I was still rebellious, but even in that, the moment that somebody came, that she brought somebody into my life, as a disciplinarian, as a level of authority, you know,
who is you, bro?
Man, I rebelled definitely at a whole nother level, and then it was just like, oh, you're not going to tell me what to do. Like, I'll do whatever I have to do to escape, you know what I'm saying, the conditions that you're trying to place on me. And so that's kind of like what led me into a whole nother level of rebellion, and making the decision that I made at 12 that ultimately, you know, got me put into a system.
Yeah. And so, again, with reading the book, I want to interject, I guess I would say at this point. And, you know, first I want to say, you got to read this book. Here's the other thing. Go ahead and tell the people what your mission is with the book. Let's talk about that first, because if you're watching the show right now, you need to probably stop watching and try to get up here if you're anywhere in the vicinity of DiamondFit Nutrition, which is Westheimer and Highway 6. Get up here right now is what I'll say. And if you're a person who likes literacy, if you have a young person, you want to read this book, man. You want to get into what this young man is sharing, and definitely be a part of the story, because not only is it your true story, it depicts the story of, I'm gonna just say, America, man, Black America. You know what I'm saying? Because at some point in time, every single young man is going through something within your story, and it's just amazing that you embody all of that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, man, it speaks volume to the nonprofit that I started, and like my mission and what I'm trying to talk about. And you helped me. I want to say thank you, because another thing that I'm looking to do, and I am going to do, is write a book. And I've been struggling on how I want to write the book, you know, because I have a story, and I'm like, man, when people hear the story that I got to share, it's going to be amazing. And no disrespect to you, I've never been like down on myself. You know what I'm saying? I've never experienced that, but I've been down because of emotions and things that I'm feeling. But I've always been pretty confident, and that's something I had to learn. Like, everybody don't have that. Everybody don't possess that. Everybody doesn't understand their legacy. Everybody don't understand that they're a king. Everybody don't have somebody loving on them. And so you have to come to a level where you can relate to people that go through things like what you went through. So again, go ahead and tell me what you try to do with the book.
So my mission, and this mission is really straight from God, because this book came during a fast that I was on back in February 2020, and with no food, just water and herbal tea. And during that time, my life began to change, and I began to get the inspiration for this. But when God told me to write the book, he told me that I was going to give away 1 million copies, and that it was going to be a mandatory read in African-American homes across the country.
Let me back that up. You said giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, people thinking you trying to sell 1 million copies. This man is trying to give away free, you know? Yeah, 1 million copies.
And so I remember telling my wife, like, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to give away 1 million copies. And she's just like, okay. I'm like, hey, okay, brother.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Told the publisher, you know, I'm going to give away 1 million copies. Okay. You know, like they just brushed it off.
Yeah.
And even as I was saying it, it sounded crazy in my mind as well, you know what I mean? But I saw it so clearly, and so I had to believe that if I just write the book and I put everything in motion, then all I could do is see where this thing goes, right?
Right.
And so I was able to start this journey off in 2020 in May for my birthday, where I was able to purchase 10,000 books, and the printer gave me a great rate to be able to help the mission out. And with this, that was like a seed into people's lives, into people's hearts, knowing that even if I give away this 10,000 and I went to sleep and I died, that I've left something now in the hearts of people. I've done something. I left a legacy in the earth, because the book is not written
to be passed down.
Yes, and the book is not written that as, oh, this is just my story, but it's written as a guide to help and to say, look, you are important, you are a king, you are valued, you are worthy. There's so much living on the inside of you, no matter who is telling you that it's not, because I lived the labels of other people so long that I forgot who I was. And now I've given away across Michigan so far 10,000 copies of the book. So the book is in 4 juvenile facilities in the state of Michigan. It's in some schools. It's out there, you know, and now my next goal is to give away 100,000 copies in this region here. Do I have the books yet? No. Do I have the funds to buy the books yet? No, but God sent me here, and he told me that this was going to be the next step. So I have to believe that by me just doing what he's telling me to do and going where he's telling me to go, that every window, opportunity, and door is going to open because I'm going to stand right in front of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're up here again today. Another reason why we say get up here to DiamondFit, we're giving away autographed copies here today. Hopefully to everybody who comes through the door. And we're believing in that. So, man, listen, I want to say keep doing what you're doing, and I believe in definitely in everything that you got going on because it's an amazing thing. So, to kind of navigate through what we're here to talk about, which again is the Young King, and I like to read the back of the book, right? Mm-hmm. So, on the back of the book it says, "Make your next choice your best choice. Our country is in dire trouble, and many young kings are crying out, looking for answers. But nobody is listening to the cries of those to greatness, yet those called to greatness, yet remain voiceless. Dexter Powell made a decision to commit a felony crime at the age of 12, just to avoid punishment at home. That's a whole conversation within itself. That one decision started a 25-year journey of lost purpose and hopeless pursuits to find the king that had always lived inside. Dexter's life and message of hope has come full circle on the pages inside this book. We have an urgency in the lives of our young African-American kings. Our young kings are indeed valued and loved and much loved, but we need to show them with our actions. We have lost so many of our young kings because of one bad decision that has cost their lives and their freedom. We must take a stand now. Are you willing to be the change our world needs?" And when I read that, and when I tell you I read this book cover to cover, man, I read it cover to cover. And it's a read that it's an enticing read that makes you want to keep reading. And which is why I said we won't give away the whole book today as far as what we're talking about. But we want to talk about some things because we want to encourage you guys to read, be the change, and understand that this talks about every single thing that I think is so important for our youngsters today. And you have this thing called King Spotlights. I don't know if you guys can see that in the book. After every chapter, for the most part, he stops and he has the King Spotlight. In the very first one, it says, "I am a young king. I'm unstoppable. I rise in face of adversity. I am loved. I'm valued. I am needed. I won't be stopped. I can't be stopped. I'm a young king." So I would like to, with your permission, I think that it is appropriate. It's not just young kings, but it's queens as well. Yeah. This can apply to our young ladies as well, because we have plenty of those that are kind of lost in the world too. So when we say king, just know that I'm particularly talking about our young kings and queens, and I'm sure you would second that. But affirmations are important, and so talk about the King Spotlight and what made you add that to this book.
Yeah, I think from the beginning, one of the things that I wanted to do was to be able to not overly write the book, mm-hmm. meaning that to write it over, the people's heads that I'm trying to connect to.
Yeah.
To write it, the chapters small.
Yeah.
So that way we're not lost in, these huge chapters and hard to remain focused. And in between chapters, I thought that it would be a very important thing to add the King Spotlight, just to be able to break up, the fact of them reading my story, but then to take just that quick break and say, you know what? Okay, I learned something from that chapter, and now as I'm going in, oh yeah, I am loved, I am valued, I am, and it was something that really that. It just came. I wrote this whole book on my cell phone, wow. and I was just telling a young man the other day, I said that the importance of our time and how we utilize our time. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what do you like to do? And he says, I play 6 to 8 hours of video games a day. And so I told him, I said, okay, that same, imagine if you took that same 6 to 8 hours for 1 week, and you devoted it into doing something that was going to be life-changing, that was going to be something that you were purposed for to create in the earth. What could you do how can you change your life? You know what I'm saying? In 1 week with just some simple time management. This here was something that I wrote this book, and I'm living this thing out in real time.
Right.
And so my life and me being able to speak a message about make your next decision your best decision when I'm still in the process, as you know what I'm saying, trying to do that as a man, trying to grow, trying to figure this out, trying to understand, like, okay, I'm evolving into to purpose, I'm evolving into these things, but now how do you go back and craft, you know what I'm saying, wholeness in your message to truly connect, you know? And I think that being able to focus not only and hear our affirmations, but the way that we even talk to our young kings and our queens, the way that we affirm them, how do we connect, how are we standing in the gap for their brokenness, which is a hard thing to do when many of us are still dealing with brokenness.
Absolutely, man, and I totally agree. And one of the things that on the other show, my counterpart, my other co-host, we were talking about reaching these kids, and you know, and that show is about mental health and wellness, and we'll get to that topic in a little bit. But one of the suggestions he made, because he's a licensed counselor, and then my other co-host, she's a clinical psychiatrist for 25 years. He's been doing 10 years. And one of the things he said was, when we're speaking to our young, the most important thing that we can do is attach them to something in the future. Because a lot of kids like yourself, they're lost. They don't have anything to attach themselves to. But and it comes with the addressing them, you know, like what you want to do in 5 years, you know. And even if they don't know, it makes them think about it. You know, where am I going to be in 5 years? You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? Just something that they have to reach beyond right now and see themselves in the future, to give them life and hope, and to let them know that today ain't the last day. You know, right now is not the end of the story. You know, this bad decision ain't the end of it. You know, and I think that's so important. And I didn't really think about that. Like, in just as plain as that sounds, I didn't think about it. But I'm saying that I think that everybody watching, when you're talking to your own kids, or you're mentoring, or you know, with writing a book, which you've done it several times in your book, attach these kids to something in the future, you know, to help them understand that. So get into the book, man. My first question is, you know, and I don't even want to, you can do it if you want to, but I'm really trying to be strategic about how I do it, because I want people to read this book, right? But when you came up, you were overweight, you were attached to food. That's actually my first question. Man, you described eating food and what you felt to a point where I was like, man, I can feel it. I understand. Like, what's up with that? You were like, with every bite and chew, like, it was like, man, what?
Yeah, I'm a very descriptive.
Yeah, like food really did that for you.
Yeah, it did, and it still does.
Yeah.
I mean, what you mean? Like, and then it's even worse. I think moving down here, you know,
it's
like food everywhere. I'm like, oh my goodness.
And it's like you're a culinary artist.
So I'm like, man, there's food everywhere. I'm like, this is amazing down here, you know. But yeah, so food has always been that thing, you know, for me. And as much as it has been something that led me to great pain and great years and years of devastation, because at my eventually, you know, I grew to be over 500 pounds. I mean, and so I hated myself. I hated waking up every day.
500 pounds. And I was reading the book, and when you were standing in front of the crowd, they said you was about 430. So you grew a little bit after that as well, too?
After, man. I continued. Because the older that I got, the restrictions of my consumption fell off. As far as, you know what I'm saying, any type of parent or saying, you need to stop eating all that food.
You grow, you do what you want to do now.
It's like, give me 6 double cheeseburgers. give me, and I'll be like, and so then my weight went to a whole other level, but it hadn't just been the weight. The weight, you know, turned into depression. It turned into anxiety. It turned to fear of the world. It turned into so many other things that caused me to find other things outside of, you know what I'm saying, even the food, because at 18 I got addicted to crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah. And let's cover that. You know, another thing that you were talking about is, you know, the one decision, you know, and it leads to so many other decisions. And is it safe to say you felt like you had an addictive like profile, like you got addicted to personality? You know, you just got addicted to this and that and that and this. So that's what I want you to talk about is like, you know, I don't know if you necessarily believe in shock therapy or if there's something that you could tell somebody that listens right now or will listen to where you can just, because my thing, man, is like, if we could get people to understand to just learn from other people's experience and not bump their heads, like that's the ultimate solution, right? You know, it'd be nice to tell somebody this and they listen and they do it and they avoid all of that. But of course, everybody has to go through the course of life the way they're supposed to. But what would be something you tell somebody that's similar to you to like just shake them and rattle them to the point where they get it, you know what I'm saying? Or they get it quicker than what you did? Or do you believe you can?
I don't like the verbiage of it sounds amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I could sit there and say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. But the reality is we're sitting in these places of desperation. And whenever you find yourself grasping at straws, trying to survive, the moment that somebody comes and even tries to ignite something within you, you could ignite, you know, but that pain so often overrides any type of wording, any type of temporary, you know what I'm saying, level of motivation, because it has to be something within. Oftentimes, that's why you find people that say, oh, you know, I hit my rock bottom and that shook me and that changed me. And a lot of times we're forced into these rock bottom pits that we've placed ourselves in, only to be shocked back into the reality that, okay, if I'm ever going to live through this, if I'm ever going to become, then I have to escape these chains. And it's a process that we're going to journey through until death.
Right.
Period. I don't care who you are, what type of level of success, how much money you have, what type of influence you have. You're searching and you're seeking for self-fulfillment. And when you're not living in purpose and on purpose, then you're always going to be living with this level of depression and suffering and grasping at, whether it's crack or whatever food, whatever it is, to try to soothe yourself temporarily.
You know? And you talk about that at the end of the book, you know, and the message is being patient with the people, you know, pay attention to those people that are trying to pour into your life, and we have to just remain faithful with them and walk them through that journey. So to kind of give into the book a little bit, you know, it's all based around to a decision you made, you know, when you were 12 years old. And when I was reading it, it's like, again, it speaks to America. You know, you didn't want to get in trouble at home. That was the main thing. You know, you had this man, Mr. Bell, he's going to beat your butt for something you did, which is a big thing, but it's like not a big thing. And the crazy part about it is, I don't remember if he said anything to you reading the book. I don't know if you put that down, like when you came home. You don't even know what the punishment would have been. You don't even know how mad he was or exactly what was going to happen.
I never gave it a chance.
You never gave it a chance, right? So when people are deciding those decisions and about to mess their whole life up, what is the message that you're telling folks right now to try to refrain from just making aimless decisions? And you talk about it, you say, don't make permanent decisions on temporary feelings, you know, and I get that. So I'd like for you to kind of talk about that a little bit. Because, like, again, you say that led you down a long line of different stuff.
It did. It's one thing. It's about pausing and having that pause within yourself of knowing, like, okay, I've reached this point where I'm about to do something. I'm about to react. I'm about to respond. I'm about to do something that could potentially become catastrophic in my life. the issue is when you're under the gun, when you're suffering, when you're the one, you know what I'm saying, that's dealing and reacting, it's often hard to find that breath. It's hard to find that pause to say, let me think through this, because you know your thing is like, I want to follow through, and whatever happens, allow it to happen. For me at this point, it's about saying, not only is it not important to make drastic decisions, you know, that are going to be forever based on temporary hurts and situations, because situations are just that, situational, and they happen over and over again. Storms, we find ourselves coming out or going in, you know, it's life. And I think being able to know you as a person, and being able to say, okay, this is how, these are my boundaries. These are boundaries that I have to put in my life in order to protect my life, in order to protect myself from going out there and doing something that I know is going to not only cost me my life, but now when we begin to think bigger, when we begin to think about, forget us, it's bigger than us.
Yeah.
It's about people.
Yeah.
It's about, because my life and my purpose is connected to so many other destinies out here.
Yeah.
It's a word that I speak, something that somebody that I connect with. You know what I'm saying? I connect with you, and we collaborate. We connect in community, and then so many more lives are touched, impacted out here. And without that right there, when you come and you say, okay, well, no, this is just my no, I don't, like I told you, you know, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I said to her, I said, look, I said, at this point in my life, I said, if I was to die today, I said, I would like to know that people will come and say, if he wanted to put 1 million books out there, we're going to get 1 million books, and we're going to make sure that they're around. You know what I'm saying? That it lives on, and not just, oh, okay, well, he gave out what he could, now he's gone. Type of situation. And that's how we form and build. You know what I'm saying?
And that's legacy. You know, when people want to keep it going, to me, that's what makes it a legacy. You know, and talk about it and make sure it's known. That becomes a legacy. It's just, you're a person who made a short impact if the people are not trying to keep that going, you know, and that's what legacy is all about to me. So, man, I get it. Yeah, I definitely understand.
I mean, and so one of the things that, you know, on the back, you saw the resource page, and for me, the last few, like, chapters of the book are, to me, like the most important chapters, you know, because I go from,
you told the story and you're like, okay, now let me tell you what's going on.
So I cut it off, and then I go right into our new reality, and trying to encourage directly into those hearts. But not only to our young kings, but as you called it, also to our adults, to our teachers, to our leaders, to our mentors, to say that how can we be the ones to stand in the gap with our young kings, with our young queens, let them know that we love them, let them know that we value them, that we need them, but we have to show them with our actions. We have to show them, not just with some spoken words, and then we disappear the moment that, you know what I'm saying, the next season approaches. And that's the problem. There's been no consistency, you know, in the lives of our children, and we're dealing with generational things that because when you begin to look back, you're like, oh man, I was dealing with this. It's the same stuff I was dealing with. And then you talk to your parents, oh, they were dealing with it too. You know what I mean? And so we have to find that common ground that says, I was born to fulfill an assignment in the earth. What is that assignment? If I need help, you know what I'm saying, cultivating that, finding that, then find valuable people in your life that could say, I see something in you, and I'm going to help you bring that out, young king, young queen. But I have to be consistent with you, even when they rebel, even when they turn, even when they have an attitude. You know, oh, I don't want. You got an attitude. I ain't dealing with them. That's the fast thing. I'm out of here. But when we stay, despite the pain, despite whatever, despite, you know, because we know that they're hurting.
Yes.
We know that they're crying out. We know that they need something that we have, but if we're not willing to be openly loving and free, you know what I'm saying, with information, then we're doing a disservice not only to them but to ourselves as well.
Absolutely. And to again go back to for those who are just tuning in, we appreciate you guys tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. This is Dexter A. Powell. He's the author of Young King, Take Your Stand. Self-help book. He's given away. The goal is to give away 1 million copies. He's already given away 10,000 in the Michigan area. He's looking to give away 100,000 in this area. Fresh and new to the city. We met a couple weeks ago, and so here we are today. And after reading this book cover to cover on yesterday, preparing for this interview, my goal is to not give away too much of the book, but we're going to get into the book right now in a way to where we want to entice you to read it. That's what it's all about. You know, we want you to read the book. You don't even have to buy the book. He's giving it away. We're up here today for as long as you can stick around, and he'll sign and autograph the book. So we want to give away those copies to those who can pass through here. And then also we're at DiamondFit Nutrition. Today is our toy drive giveaway. So we're waiting for people to pull up with their kids. We're giving away toys. The Reach Podcast Show is going to give away a bike. If we have too many kids, we're going to raffle away that bike. If not, there'll be one lucky winner for that bike. And then also we are looking to give a certificate away to a family that can hold up to 10 people for you guys to have a good, delicious Christmas meal. You know, thinking about the things you wrote about Christmas. I mean, about the food. But we want to give away the certificate to a family who has up to 10 people. And you guys can go down to George R. Brown tomorrow and get satisfied with a holiday meal. But back to the book. So you're just tuning in. It's about a decision he made that led him down the road, different addictions to food, to you help me out here. What are the different alcohol? It was alcohol? Crack, yeah. And that happened 48 hours after you left home, man. That was crazy. So this young man, and the point I'm trying to get to is how we affect other folks, right? And you just kind of spoke on that. And you deliberately sat there and you thought it out, kind of premeditated, and it was crazy how that all happened. And it was somebody that you grew up with, you know, and somebody that you played with that had no idea what was about to happen to them and changing their lives forever, right? And so when you committed this crime, it landed you in jail with your little brother watching you do it, affecting his life too. You know, and then the mom and your mom, and now you're like, man, get these handcuffs off, you know, all again because you didn't want to get in trouble at home. You could have just went home, took your whipping, and, you know, never know what would have happened, right? But again, God had a plan, obviously, and it's crazy when you think about that, the extremes that you had to go through to get to this point.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because he had to mold you and shape you to be able to tell this story. Because again, not only is this your true story, but it's the story of so many people in the world. So now you're in jail. You're missing out on the food. You know, you
that was the worst. That was the worst thing for me. It was like I didn't cry over my felony charge.
Yeah,
I cried over the food that they were serving me.
Talk about that first night in jail, man.
All right, so I talked about this. I got locked up and I hadn't eaten dinner. And so obviously after the intake and they get me into my cell, I'm hungry. And I'm like, man, like, when's dinner? Like, I need dinner now. You know what I'm saying? Bring on the dinner. And so they had me go.
He's 12.
I'm 12.
12 years old.
And I remember them coming and knocking on the door and telling me to go stand in the back of the corner. And I did, and they slid a tray in. And when they slid the tray in and shut the door, I was so excited. I'm like, oh, good, finally.
Did you even know what they were doing?
No.
At that point,
no,
like, you got to go to the back of the cell and be out the way to just receive your food.
Yeah, like, I didn't know any of that. And so it was a bologna sandwich, and like it was the worst. It was the worst sandwich that I had ever seen. Like the bread was just horrible. I mean, the bologna was discolored and stink, you know, and I immediately started crying. Like, and it was just like, oh, like, no, like, this is not mine. Like, this can't be. Like, forget the felony.
You made a mistake.
Like,
feed me some food.
Yeah, so that became my regret. But even when I, got locked up, to me, it was like a grass would be greener on the other side because I didn't want, be whooped, and I didn't want to be whooped, you know, from somebody that I felt was just coming into my life. And so to me, it was like, okay, well, if I go to jail, I'm not gonna get whoopings in jail or whatever. But like,
and that's important, man. To kind of pause right there. This young man rather, and I don't even know if he realized it was gonna be a felony, but he rather commit a crime. And this speaks to our young. This speaks to the parents. This speaks to church members, community members. Like, we got to really tap in. You know what I'm saying? Because for you to think committing a felony, or even regardless if you knew it was going to be a felony or not, just to do what you did, rather than going home and facing the punishment, that's just crazy within itself, right? But these are things that we have to talk about and recognize in our community. There are kids out here that are hurting so bad one way or the other, they rather do something different than to go home. You know, whether it's be out stealing food, jacking cars, you know, robbing, trying to make money just because you don't want to go home. Your home conditions are messed up, and it leads me back to that thought. It all starts at home. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a good situation, because it wasn't like you were in a bad situation. It was just you were missing the feeling of feeling love, you know, only because your mom was choosing to be with somebody else. So the whole point is, we need to try to tap in a little bit more as much as we can and understand what our kids and our youth are going through. And this speaks to me too, because I have kids, and you know, we're not always as in tune as we think we are sometimes, you know. And so for you to be in there that first night and missing out on that meal, man, that's what really, really, really got you. And that part is crazy. And you know, I kind of chuckled at it a little bit because you were like, you beating on the door and everything. You was like, man, y'all got to do something about this. This ain't gonna work. And so, you know, moving forward, you know, you stayed there, was it 6 months? You know, you stayed there for 6 months, and then got to a point where you're a juvenile and you got the different intakes. And you know, I like to jump to the part where you had the young man smiling. You said he had a jerry curl, and what was the song? Let's groove tonight. Let's groove tonight. You know, but in the meantime, you grew up being bullied in school. You know, that time where you took all the candy to the school and you were giving it out, looking for love and affection. I'd say the girls were happy, they were smiling at you, and then immediately that stuff was taken away from you because they found out what you had done. And so you studied grasping for people's attention and to love you and to make you feel part of, you know, whatever it was. And then you get to jail and you're still being bullied again. You know, you have the different sergeants doing that and you're being bullied. And then to have that person that came in and made you feel a certain way, which is kind of the turning point. Describe how that made you feel.
Yeah, one of the things about people that are working in, whether it's juvenile facilities, jails, they're hard.
Yeah,
they have to have this exterior, you know what I'm saying, to protect themselves and their image and everything. And they treat you bad, like they just talk down to you, like I mean, you're an animal basically, you know. And over the course of the time that I was in there, I didn't see no smiling. I didn't see, you know what I'm saying, people that were speaking love, you know, life into me. Yeah. And so whenever I first met Brian, who was he was one of the group leaders, our house leaders of this group home, of Arnell Children's Home, his demeanor and his like, man, what's up, man? Yeah. Like that was just like, oh wow, like,
yeah, it was a shout to you, that right
there.
Yeah,
like that's who I want to go with. That's right there. And he was so encouraging to me. Yes, you messed up, but this does not have to be the end.
Right.
Don't allow, you know, the rest of your life. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to go to the California Youth Authority to stay till you're 26.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because there were so many conditions on my felony, even at 12, and that was right during the time when California began, you know, implementing 3 strikes, and I mean, there's all these different things that were happening.
Yeah.
And so, regardless, if you were a 7-year-old offender, you know what I'm saying, or 12, they're coming at you hard.
Yeah.
And for me to be able to get an opportunity to go, you know, to Northern California and to go to the boys' home and to be given a chance, it was nothing but another just divine appointment, for my young life at that time, that I would have never imagined how just a little bit of love,
can make
just
a
a little bit of the right attention, you know what I'm saying, could turn somebody's value factor to a whole nother level.
Right.
You know?
And another thing we kind of skipped over, and that's my fault. Like, you made the decision to get in there because you didn't want to get in trouble at home. But then once you got in there, even realizing the first day at court, you kept making bad decisions because you were still afraid of what was to come, and you kept putting yourself in different situations because you need to act tough. And I venture to say that was probably the best thing to do. You never know. Being disrespectful to the judge, making it seem like you didn't care, so now you're not remorseful about the things you do. Instead of adding on and piling different things on top of you, again, at 12 years old, not even realizing what you're getting yourself into, which led to that long, long, long journey. Now you're learning the street life. Now you're in there having to fight for your life. You're learning other things to get into and learning that certain things existed that you probably didn't even know existed. All these things, again, and you talk about having to grow up faster than you needed to. And this is another thing that our young Black Americans are getting into when they're making these bad decisions, not being able to live that young life. You missed all of your teenage years, and a lot of your 20s. And like you said, so you get to, Northern California in this group home, and you finally got the recognition by becoming a culinary chef, we'll say, in there, which speaks to, I guess, a little bit about what you're doing now, and talk about the relief on that, what that did for you.
Yeah, I always had a joy of cooking and just being around food, you know what I mean? And when I went to the group home, it was about, we had chores, everybody had chores to do every week. And for me, the first week that I had kitchen, I remember making my grandmother's meatloaf recipe, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, like this is so good. You need to just cook every day."
Yeah.
And so it became this thing like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll do all the other chores, and you just have kitchen."
Stay with kitchen.
And so I was like, "This is perfect. I can be around the food.
Yeah.
I could, And so that became my place, And so young. I'm in here and I'm preparing, every day, like meals for this house. And that was growing me, and it was giving me value, something that I did not have, because where I was searching, for validation in my peers and everything, like I was getting it, within my peers in the home that I was living in, because now I'm giving them something that was valuable to them, you know what I mean? And so they were steadily like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing." And so that made me feel like, whoa, I could do this. And even like later on or whatever, I mean, I was supposed to go at 18 I got accepted in culinary school, and because of me dropping and, falling victim to crack cocaine 48 hours after leaving my parents' house, I lost all that. Like, I lost the opportunity. I lost everything.
And that's where I was going to go with this. So, your breaking point was getting the kitchen duty. You're in a group home with boys. You found a place. I was laughing because I'm like, man, they don't realize he's addicted to food. You know what I'm saying? But, that was good for you. And it helped you change. You went through the 4-step program really fast, excelled, and so you were able to get out and go home. And this is where I want to.
This man really read the book.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, because it just kept me reading. But you get out and you go home, and then you're happy to be home, and everything's good. And I want to take it from here, because this is where you kind of cut it off and you go into what we can do. But you did chronologize. You still had addictions after that. So the first step you made was you didn't want to be at home. You didn't want to be have authority over you. You still have that issue about having the authority in your life. I want you to talk about how important that is for kids to realize they need the authority, they need the guidance, and then you made a decision. And 48 hours after you decided you were going to leave home, you then became addicted to crack.
Yeah.
and then you had so many other things that you became addicted to. So take us from that point of you finally free now. You realized some things, and then also you spoke in front of a large group of peers because they called you back to give back to those guys. You know, I like how you describe, you know, that whole scene right there. You can talk about that a little bit if you want to, but man, you went through all these years of being locked up, all this hard time. You back home with mom, you know, you missed her, all the visits, and I thought about that, man, because I had to go visit my cousin, and the sack time, that was the best time, right? But being back home, making that drastic a decision again, and then just messing up on that opportunity as well.
I think that for me, being in just that whole time, man, just having to deal with the absent, you know, just being absent, man, absent in the system, absent in from my family, you know what I'm saying, having to process my decisions, man. And help me out, man. I got like a dang a different
help you out as far as what?
The last question you just asked me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just in regards to, you know, why you made those decisions, and when you got addicted to the crack cocaine, what led you to all the other decisions? Because you kept it really short, you know, because you were trying to get to the point of the self-help. You know, just trying to give people the idea of the journey that you still went on after getting out and leaving home.
Oh yeah, no. So that was all rebellion set up, you know what I mean? And so, like I said, the moment that I left, I wanted to be grown.
Yeah.
You can't tell me nothing no more. I'm 18. Like, first thing I wanted to do, I went and got a tattoo. Like, bam, you said don't go get a tattoo. I'm going to get a tattoo. Yeah. I'm going to do everything, you know, to rebel. And I ended up going into a house with two individuals that I got connected to somebody else. And so they were looking for a roommate.
Yeah.
And they showed me this small house that was jacked up. Carpets were all dirty. I mean, like it was messed up, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, "This is your room." It had nothing in the room. Like $200,000 a month. You know, I'm like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Yeah,
great. I'll take it. Little did I know what they were into, and I quickly found out. And so, the first day that I was there, that night, I heard them in there, you know, moving around, smoking, and doing stuff. And I mean, I was smoking weed, and I remember them saying, "Man, you need to try this." And I'm like, "No, man, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good." And he continued to pressure, like, "Oh man, like this one time, that's all." And me, I felt that, okay, well, I'm good. I got this one time. It's not going to affect me. And the first thing I did was I hit that crack, and I mean, I remember him putting the pipe up to my mouth, and me like pulling it, and them turning it and lighting it. And the first thing I did was grab my wallet and said, "How fast can we get some more?"
Yeah.
And at that point, I had a daughter. My daughter was on the way, and it was the summer of 2000 that took me right into a spiral. You know, because at that time I was still over 400 pounds. I was still hurting. I was still desperate. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with all of these things. And now it was like crack cocaine became this all-consuming, like, oh, I've never felt like this before. I never felt something so good.
Yeah.
And I kept reaching and searching for that high that I felt the first time. And I never found it again.
Right.
And I lost so much because of it. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? And when I talk about, you know, the decision I made at 12 and the things that I learned being locked up and being around other, you know, second and third generational gangsters and stuff like that, I carried a lot of those things with me, you know, into adulthood.
Right.
Searching, you know, being constantly rebellious, lying, stealing, cheating, doing everything, you know what I'm saying, that I was doing, still, you know, broken,
right.
Still just this fragile creation of a king that's not even knowing, you know what I'm saying, that he's a king.
What you possess, yeah.
And so I think that over the course of my dysfunction, over the course of me growing and learning and evolving and understanding that yes, every mistake that I've made, everything that I've gone through, every decision that I made has only been connected and purposeful. So now that I have a blueprint, I have a testimony that could help lead somebody else into their personal healing, into their personal discovery of a life, you know, that they have to find and be able to fulfill in the earth. How long do I have to do that?
Right.
Remains to be, I don't know. Only God knows that.
Yeah.
But I have to be intentional today that says, I'm going to pour out today. Did I make mistakes yesterday? Yes. Did I drop the ball? Yes. Did I allow my next decision to be my best decision? Maybe I didn't. But what am I going to do from this point on?
Yeah.
If I stay in the past, if I keep myself there in what I did, if I keep myself in there and what people told me about who I am and what they're making me to be, then I'm always going to be that.
Yeah.
But the moment that I get a revelation that says, I am carrying something that is so big, and that's the reason why I'm going through so much.
Yeah.
That's the reason why there's so much coming against me, because the greatness does not want to be the devil does not want to see that greatness come out of you and go into the earth, because not many more millions of people will be impacted by the very thing you carry.
Yeah. That is the part I'm trying to get to, man. And the story is heavy. It's 25 years long, you know. And I've been trying to figure out how I wanted to get through it. And again, not give away the book, but hoping that people will want to come and pick this up or catch up with you. And go and tell people how to find you. It's been up on the screen, but I call this little your commercial time. So go ahead and tell them how they can get the book and how they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on at Young King Book on Instagram, and as well as my website at www.youngkingbook.com, and also on Facebook at author Dexter Powell Jr.
Absolutely. Y'all definitely want to get this book, because I'm just giving teasers about it. Like I said, it's definitely an easy read, enticing read, makes you want to keep reading.
And less than 100 pages.
Yeah, and I read it cover to cover yesterday again. And so now I like to get into, I call it the glory part, you know. So talk about at what point, because of course this is not in the book, where, you know, you made a decision and where you started losing your weight and what that was like, and what brought you to the point of where you are now. And again, you know, how are you able to stay focused, you know, and leave all of those bad decisions behind?
All right, so I got gastric bypass surgery in 2005, and I was at my biggest weight, 504 pounds, and was having a hard time functioning, having a hard time walking, having a hard time breathing. I was diabetic. There was so much going on, and I had the surgery, and I began to lose weight, you know, really quickly. And in my mind, I had all my life, you know, I always thought, like, okay, if I lose weight, like if I could just be skinny, like I won't have no issues, because like in my life, like skinny people didn't have issues.
Yeah. That was your truth.
Like, oh, you skinny, you straight, you got the world. Like,
you ain't got nothing going on. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, somebody comes to a problem and they're skinny, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, they got the answer.
But you're skinny though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, it was like, okay, I'm gonna lose this weight, and I'm like, I have issues, like all of these types of things. But little did I know that from the point of 2005, that really my journey of life discovery, of being a man, of finding that has been an ongoing pursuit since that time. Because I got the surgery in 2005, and I got married in 2005, and 9 months after I was married, I was diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. And that was a shock, because now it's like, oh, I'm losing weight and I'm supposed to have this brand new lease on life, and I'm married, and I moved from Vegas to Michigan, and now I have tumors in my chest and in my spleen and in my liver, and I'm thinking that I'm going to die. And so it was another shock, just to my system, because I had already gone through my life was already a movie before 2005.
Yeah.
I had already gone through so much, but now it's like cancer. What?
Yeah.
And so to have to deal with cancer at 23 years old, on top of just trying to discover who I was at that point, was something that was crazy. And I had to go through that, and I had to go through chemotherapy and losing all my hair and becoming very sick, and being at a point, where I didn't have faith for survival. My wife did.
Mm-hmm.
She had faith, and prayers to pray me out before God healed me.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in that. But even right after my cancer, I fell into Vicodin addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the streets of Detroit begging old ladies to sell me Vicodin outside of Walgreens and CVS for almost 2 years, and nobody knew.
Yeah.
Functioning only off of a pill. If I didn't have the pill, my whole world was over. I was doing everything and anything to try to get my hands on pain pills, and so when we talked about going and transferring and from one thing to another, it's been something, a pursuit that I've had to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's a slippery slope, man.
Yeah.
Because you have to see, okay, if I've had these issues, if I've had these patterns and these habits in my life, it's very quickly to find yourself right back into a habit, right back into something that you are trying to run, or that you think that, you know what I'm saying, you've been freed from. And why does that happen? It happens because of stress. It happens because of life. It happens because of all of the things that's like, oh, okay, what's comfortable to me?
Yeah.
What do I go back? What do I do? And I think that now, I'm 39. I'll be 40 in May, and to think now that not only do I know my purpose, but I see the journey, for what it is, which is an intentional, not only an attack against all of the defeat that has happened, you know what I'm saying, in my life, all of the pits, all of the dark holes, all of the traps, all of the things that I've allowed to consume me. Yeah. But now to say, okay, I have to take all of those things and be intentional to drive all of those things into purpose. Yeah. I have to take my pain and now produce purpose because of my pain.
Do you recall, and another thing, your new addiction is this, you talked about that, is your book and making sure you get the message out. And I think that's strong because that's definitely what it should be, all the time. I think you recognize the shift in that. But do you recall the time and the moment in which you felt when you were like, you know what, okay, enough is enough. It's time to do this book, or it's time to start this mission and really stick to it.
Yeah, so
and take your stand.
Yeah, so just even a little bit more background on that is in 2017 was one of the most pivotal years of my life. Is I talked about the rock bottom, and that was like my worst rock bottom in 2017, and because I sold everything that we had for crack cocaine, I relapsed at 33 years old, or whatever. I mean, I relapsed, and now I wasn't out there in front of CVS looking for pills, but now I was in the crack houses of Detroit in the middle of the night, knocking on the door, selling stuff, and here, man, can I just get a piece of crack? But like that type of thing, and having to tell my wife like there's nothing left, like I sold everything, like sorry, and then trying to kill myself, and I ended up being in the mental hospital for 3 weeks, and it was during that time where I began to write things in my journal, and those things that were in my journal back then were talking about how there was purpose for my life, how even though I was morally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially depleted, that there was still something that I was carrying even in that pain. Yeah. I didn't understand that it was going to take 4 years, you know, for me to still walk this thing out and try to find really what it was. I always knew I was going to write a book. I have another book that I've been working on for a long time called Finding Decks While Lost in the Layers. I thought that was going to be my first book out, but this was something that was like, okay, no, this needs to go out. This needs to go into the world, and with that, it's going to open up the doors for all the other messages, for all the other words, all the other writing, then to even go out at a bigger level.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that, I know that was pivotal for you. So, what is Dexter's life like now? You know, what are your besides the book being your passion and your motivation? What are other things that you do? And do you recall any moments where you reached an individual like similar to yourself and it made a difference? And did it make you? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, that right there, I think, is one of the craziest things about like this book being out there is being able to have conversations with people that have read it, and just to hear them talk about how it's related to their life and how it's impacted them. And because for me, it still goes back to like, I just wrote that on my phone.
Yeah,
man. Like, come on, man. Like this, like you can do that.
How you relate to that?
But I know that it's a message that is relatable, and not only to just our young men and our young women you know, color, but to whites too, man. Like, because there's white people that read it and they're like, oh my God, like, you know, and I'm just like, wow, like, there it is. Like, it's about the message. It's about, you know, and I think that from this point now, my life is geared at impact. It's at being a speaker, being in the schools, being in the detention facilities, in the churches, wherever God is setting up and positioning me to be able to motivate and enhance people's lives. This is a new journey, you know, for me. My family and I, we just relocated to Katy, Texas, a little over a month ago, and to be somewhere new, all I see is new purpose. I see new opportunity. I see more impact. I see greater levels of being able to do that. And so that's really my mission, man. Every day is being able to continue to connect, being able to continue to build other people's lives, and as well as continue building my life and my mindset, you know, so I can carry this message out, so I can be a leader and a mentor that could be dependent on, you know. I mean, and that's really where it comes down to, because I'm still learning. I'm still, it's all new.
It's a life journey.
It's all new to me, but if I steadily evolve in this journey, if I steadily, you know, allow my steps to be ordered, you know what I'm saying, by God, then I have full faith that everything that He showed me, that the million books, you know, going and being distributed across the nation, it's going to manifest. My biggest thing has been visualization. I visualize every single thing that I'm doing right now. I'm walking in visuals from over a year ago.
Wow.
You know, and
manifesting them now too.
And now, when you're able to, so things that there's things that I've said to people about, well, this is what God showed me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it's like, oh my goodness. And now, you know, the conversation is, man, you said it. Hey, you said that's what's going to happen. And it happened just like that, you know. And I'm like, yo, this is a faith journey. I'm walking by faith. I'm walking this thing out. Have I made mistakes? Yes. Will I drop the ball? Yes. But I'm living this thing out to say, look, we're all searching. We're all becoming. And it's important right now in our lives, if we're ever going to reach a level of success, that it starts right now, and it starts with you. It starts with your belief. It starts with, what do you believe about yourself, and how do you get over the the systems of unbelief that have been placed on you from the voices of others.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now is that moment when I feel like a journalist or a real interviewer, you know, and I appreciate, I'm going to say this, I'm going to start off by previewing it with saying that I'm glad that God used you, man. And the crazy part is he's used you in so many different scenarios. You know, like your life is one story, but it tells a million stories because there's a person who only dealt with crack addiction. There's a person who only dealt with cancer. There's a person who only dealt with bullying. There's a person who, you know, dealt with obesity. You know what I'm saying? And there's only a person who lacks self-confidence. Like those are individual stories, but you have went through, survived, and overcome all of that, right? And so the way my mind works, it makes me think about the naysayers, right? So what do you say to the people? And then the reason the question comes to me is because you relapse so late in life, right? So there's somebody that's listening. There's somebody who may know you. There's somebody who may follow you because we always got people that's looking for us to fail. So what do you say to those people like, give him a few months, he gonna relapse again. You know, it ain't over. You know, what do you say to those people? And what do you say to the young folks that are looking up to you, that are counting on you to stay on this path that you have finally found, and obviously living it out? You wrote the book. You're so passionate about it. What do you say to those people that are expecting, wondering, or wanting you to fall back?
I try not to stay in that type of space because I already know like there's haters and there's people that are intentionally waiting and wanting us to fail. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they because it makes them feel better about their own levels of not being able to reach success or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Or their own purpose. So for me, day to day, it's about knowing now, like okay, I have an understanding that I'm carrying, that I'm putting something out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on top of that, that carries a heavy weight and a burden on me.
Yeah.
Because I understand that. I understand that people are watching. I understand that I'm held. You know what I'm saying? At a higher level now because of my messaging, and that's something that I'm trying every single day to get right.
Prioritize,
you know, and I'm on like I'm one thing about my book, or not my book, but just my life period, it has been very transparent and talking about, you know, my mission, talking about my shortcomings, talking about my failures, talking about me dropping the ball over and over again. I mean, even as a recent, man. I mean, and it's about, am I willing to admit my mistakes? Am I willing to step up and say, okay, yes, I did it. Yes, I hurt someone. Yes, I intentionally disrupted, you know what I'm saying, my life because of decisions. What can I do? Am I going to wallow, or am I going to move past and break free from these chains? And I'm choosing each day to break free from the chains, the chains that would love to put themselves on me. So but if I spend my life worried about the naysayers and the haters and the doubters, then I'm going to stay in the places that those same haters, naysayers, and doubters spoke over me, you know, which is dumb, stupid, retarded, fat, ugly, all the stuff that I heard that I believed was my truth, that I believe because of haters, naysayers, doubters. And so now I choose to mute that. And in this journey, I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of people, you know, because I've had to put blinders on and say, look, I can't deal with you. I can't listen to you. I can't hear, because I have to stay focused on my next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. And that's just, that in itself is a heavy weight, you know, and I understand that, man. And I want to say that, brother, I'm super proud of you. You know what I'm saying? Being just to meet you, you've always been a wonderful individual, obviously, you know, even though you didn't know that, but it just means so much to me personally that you went through all this, and again, you're willing, able, and understanding that your story needs to be shared, and you're willing to do that. You're willing to fall flat on your face and just be wide open. I don't think I've ever met anybody as humble and as willing as you are. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, we've just met, and just to read this book. And I want everybody that's watching on Facebook, YouTube, and IG. I'm sorry, the phone died, so it cut off. But man, to be able to tell your story again is telling the stories of so many different people and so many battles that you've been through. And I know you've heard God always gives his strongest battles to, I mean, his most dueling battles to his strongest soldiers, man. So that within itself speaks a lot. It speaks volumes about the things that are coming, and we're forever evolving. And man, I just tip my hat to you. And I mean, it just means the world to me, because the message that you're sharing is the message that I try to push and give to the young folks and help them understand. And so again, it's like, you guys have to get this book. You have to read it to fully understand what this man has been through. Just the hurt and the pain. And I know you probably still carry that, maybe not as much, but to be able to get over all the stuff you've been through, that's a journey within itself. So I just want to say, you're beautiful, brother. You know, you're much valued. You know, we need more people like you on this earth. And I just appreciate you sharing the story, man. So, thank you. You know, I was just excited to do the show. You know, I didn't know how we were going to do it and how we were going to stretch it out and try to tell the story. And again, I didn't want to give the book away, because I believe in literacy. And that's the last thing, because we're gonna talk about mental health and wellness. What does mental health and wellness mean to you at this point of your life, knowing everything that you've been through, and also literacy?
Yeah, both of them, I mean, they're hand in hand. I mean, for one, the mental health factor is so important, because without it, you know, there's nothing else. So once your mind is gone, on anything, you know what I'm saying? Wherever you focus your mind at, and that's where your heart's going to follow.
Yeah.
And so if your mind is set on that depression, on that on fear, on that anxiety, then you're consumed fully, you know, with that. And so I think that at this point now, being able to understand that the power of my mind, the power of why I have to protect, you know, that, and I have to find people of value in trusting that you can talk to.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we often do is we try to tell people, oh, well, go get help, go get yourself some help. But services are not always available, you know, for the young kings, for the young queens. They're not there. And then when we go in for services, we're quickly overlooked, and we just become a number, you know what I'm saying, on a catalog, and there's no true communication. And so I think that being able to not only understand the power of self-love, and being able to love yourself, being able to look in the mirror, look at yourself, and understand that the person that you were seeing is not who you were created to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then also, yes, the power of literacy, which is something that I'm learning. You know what I mean? Because I'm someone who, in every aspect, I shouldn't be an author. Like I failed every English class that I ever took in school. Yeah. I shouldn't be able to communicate.
It reminds me of people saying, "Why me?" My thing is, why not you?
Yes.
You know, why not you, brother?
Like I should not be able to communicate to people that have all these, you know, high level degrees and education, but now I've been able to get to a place mentally where I hear something, and I'm able to take now all the situations that I've gone through, and I've been able to cultivate an experience that I'm able to share with you, that I'm able to freely give and say, hey, this is what I've done, and I'm sure that you are dealing with something. I'm sure that you've done something. I'm sure that you're trying to make sense and trying to find fulfillment in your own life, and all I'm doing is just giving you my own personal blueprint that says, look,
this is what I did.
This is what I did, man. And so, like I said, technically, if by all the standards, you know, you check off, oh, he did this, yeah, check me off. But I ain't supposed to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the reality is, I was born and I was created to fulfill an assignment in the earth. You know, see my dad like over here with me. That's an amazing.
Shout out to Dad. I appreciate you being in the studio, brother.
Like that's an amazing thing because he hasn't been like in my life like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're like
that's another thing I can relate to, building my relationship with my father, like in my 40s. You know.
So now to for him to be, oh yeah, I got you, man. We're going to the show. You know, it's like, oh man, like wow, like that right there. And then for him, you know, I said to him a couple weeks ago, I said, man, you don't even know who you are because of what you help seed into the earth.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so oftentimes we look at ourselves like, oh man, I'm dealing with this, or I'm going through this. But our life may have just been purposed to be able to birth something so amazing into the earth that so many people are going to be changed just because of you being here. And that's my mission.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing, brother. So again, hats off to you. And the last thing before we get up out of here, chapter 18. I don't know if this is the last chapter or not, but it says your mind matters. And you're gonna be on our show this evening called The Mind Matters, you know, and we're specific about mental health and wellness, and that's what we're gonna talk about. So, you know, if you guys want to catch Mr. DeXTER Powell again, Junior again this evening, we're gonna be on the Mind Matters podcast show. And the second line in your second paragraph, it said mental illness is real. And it is absolutely real, and that's our goal, to help people understand. Another thing you push and promote is getting help. You know, just get the help you need. Understand that your mental mind state is what is important, and it all boils down to people understanding their role. So if you're a mental health and wellness advisor, you're a counselor, you're a therapist, man, take it serious, you know. But most importantly, we got to get to a point where we understand we're responsible for our own sanity, you know what I'm saying, our own happiness, our own stance in life, and that's what it's all about, man. So, you know, did you want to say anything in regards to mental health?
Yeah, just one of the things, you know, that chapter was an addition, something that I thought very imperative to be added into the book, just to let the focus know, like, look, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay, you know what I'm saying, to go out and find help. And so one of the things that, see where I said, I know becoming a spectator of your own existence has left you gasping for air. You know you need help before you drown in the toxic pond of your mind. But the thought of someone knowing you've been hearing or seeing things that aren't really there would make you look crazy. You have this diminished public image to uphold. So you choose to remain silent, pushing you closer to becoming unraveled. And one of the things that we're often dealing with is our silence, you know, and silence, our outward silence is causing these inward concerts of pain. You know, these speakers that are booming, that are reminding me of my failures, that are reminding me over and over again. And the longer that I stay in that spot, it's harder for me to get out. It's harder for me, even with counseling, even with mental health therapy, all of those different things become harder because of my mind. It's a mind trap. And I think that it's going to be an ongoing discovery of individuals and professionals to be able to come together and to be on one accord and to be able to say, like, hey, this is what needs to happen as a starting point for us to be able to get to that place that we're trying to go, which is overall general wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that stood out, and this is the reason we started the show, you have another paragraph in here, and you says, I know that mental health is taboo in our African American culture, but we must take back control of our lives. It starts with admitting that we're not all right, and then be willing to get your mental health back together. One decision at a time. You know, when the coach tells you keep your head in the game, that mantra rings true in all aspects of life. And that is absolutely true, man. And so, you know, I sent you a message last night, and I'm telling you I want to work with you, man, in 2022 and do a lot of different things. The one thing you don't know is my annual fundraiser for Dad Chronicles, which is my 501c3, is a mental health and wellness walk in the month of June, which is the month of mental health and wellness being recognized around the country. And I want to team up and do some things, give away your books there. Even if you're not there, let that be on deck. Because this year, it's only been happening 2 years. The first year, it wasn't as big as I wanted to be because it was first year. Last year, COVID, so I turned it to a virtual thing. This coming year is going to be virtual and in person. And so have a lot of different, doctors and different things on board and want to be a part of it. So I can't wait for that. And that's going to be in June. We'll discover a date. But, man, when I tell you things are divine, they really are divine, man. So any last words you want to share with everybody, man?
Look, your mind matters, your heart matters, your spirit matters. And no matter what you may be dealing with today in this season of your life, just know that there's so much more for you to see, for you to feel, for you to speak, for you to access, for you to write. And that's what it's all about. It's about connecting your heart to the heart of this world. And the heart of this world is in pain. And so if you can find wholeness within your heart and you could bring something, a level of love and connect to people, you're going to start finding value in your own self. You're going to find purpose within your own pain. And oftentimes when we give away, when we give ourselves away, when we help others, then we find ourselves living in gratitude. You know what I mean? And so focus on gratitude, focus on living in gratitude, focus on understanding that go into this new year with a whole different mindset. Speak life. Stop speaking death over your situation, over your children, over your own self, but speak life, speak purpose, speak wholeness, speak it, and begin to visualize yourself doing and living in the very things that you were created to live in. And I thank you for the opportunity.
Man. I thank you for being here.
Converse with you. It's definitely, you were the first person that came and shook my hand whenever I walked up at the book, and I remember all those types of interactions and stuff. And so even right then, I'm like, I gotta find out who he is.
I was listen. You weren't gonna leave without making sure we talked. That was on my heart and my mind to make sure that happened. And big shouts out to my sister, man, Raven Rose. She is doing some amazing things, getting that bookstore up and running. So everybody keep the name on your mind. Brown Sugar Cafe and Books out in Katy, Texas. Look for that grand opening to be happening here soon. But man, I appreciate this interview and just happy holidays to everybody. Another reason why we want to do the show is just the mindset, and be focused on the things that you're doing. Family's important. You're important. Your story is important. So don't be shy about sharing it. And I appreciate it's been a long conversation, but it's been important, man. And so you guys have a happy holiday. We'll be back next week. Holiday. This is our man, Mr. Dexter A. Powell, author of Young King, Take Your Stand, and a very, very, very important message that everybody needs to read, see, and hear about. And we want you guys to try to connect with us. We'll be over here. I know he has to go, but you can tap into all the things that you see on the screen right now. Follow him at Young King, man. Take your phone out right now. Everybody always on social media. Go and follow this gentleman on Instagram at Young King Book. And you can get your copy, DM me. I'm sure we can organize some things. Hello, Miss Bree Powell. I see you. We appreciate you watching. And thank everybody for tuning in. It's been the Reach Podcast Show. Every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. Y'all have a blessed weekend and happy holidays.